Hi everybody, it's Honest John. The causes of the financial crisis of 2008 are a lot less complicated than so-called economic experts would like us to believe. And of course, people with political agendas focus on one cause and exclude the others because it doesn't fit conveniently into their ideology. So I'm not going to leave anyone out. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were extremely stupid and irresponsible. Yes, Clinton and Bush overemphasized home ownership in their policies, and so they share some blame. But nobody was required to give loans to people who had no chance to make them good. I mean, they had these loan application forms that were less than a page long, didn't ask if you had a job, didn't ask what your income was. That was ridiculous. And the Democrats, who resisted any attempt to rein in Fannie and Freddie, have to accept their share of the blame for that. Now the Republicans have to take the blame for repealing the Glass-Steagall Act. When they did that, that allowed investment banks and savings banks to be combined. If this had not been the case, if investment banks and savings banks had stayed separate, we might have gotten through the financial crisis without a bailout. So the Republicans get most of the blame for that, although the Democrats should have stood up to them. If ever there was a time to do a filibuster, that was it. Wall Street, they get the biggest share of the blame. I mean, they were selling stuff they knew was worthless. And the rating agencies were rating it AAA. And AIG was insuring this stuff well beyond its ability to pay. So that when it all came down, there was no way AIG could pay out on its policies. And government regulators have to take a real big share of the blame because they just didn't do their job. So that's the Bush administration right there. They get a heaping helping of blame. And of course some blame has to go to the people who took out those loans. Yeah, naturally. There were a lot of people who just took out loans knowing that they couldn't make them good and just hoping that growth would continue forever. But there were people also who were who had a chance. And what happened was they were suckered into these predatory loans. So that's another helping of blame for the banks. And finally, the government over the years, both Democrat and Republican, has allowed corporations to become too big to fail. And not enough has been done to fix that. Now I promise, if I'm elected president, I will force Congress to bring back the Glass-Steagall Act. Investment banks and saving banks will be separate entities. If an investment bank fails, it fails. It will not endanger people's savings. And I'll end too big to fail. Those companies that are too big to fail will be broken apart into smaller companies. As an example, AIG's investment insurance business will be separated from its other businesses. And regulators will not be in bed with the folks they're supposed to regulate. Now, I'll get rid of stupid regulations. There's plenty of stupidity there, and there's a lot of paperwork that's unnecessary, but the regulations that remain will be strictly enforced. And the consumer and the Consumer Protection Agency will have real teeth. I know the Republicans want to get rid of that. You know, here's an agency that's designed to protect people, and the Republicans hate it. That should tell you all you need to know about them. Customers will know what they're getting because everything will be clear. No more fine print and no more predatory loan practices. And the size of mortgage securities and other types of securities will be limited and accompanied by clear statements of exactly what's in them. People have the right to wheel and deal and make money, but within limits. No one sector of the economy or of business has the right to jeopardize all the other sectors. You know, a lot of people still talk about the onerous regulations, and we have to get rid of regulations. Well, both the financial crisis and the oil spills that we had are examples of exactly what happens when you don't regulate. And very slowly and carefully, we'll start to raise interest rates. Now, interest rates can't be too high because, you know, credit is important and it needs to flow. But right now, interest rates are so low that people who want to save money and be responsible are not rewarded for it. You have a savings account in a bank, you pay more in fees than the interest that you get on it. That's crazy. It's ridiculous. We need to encourage people to save. We need to encourage people to be frugal. It's not happening. So we'll bring up interest rates to a point where, yeah, credit will be available, but you'll have to pay something for it. That only makes sense. And people who do save and try to prepare for the future will be rewarded. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that I haven't thought of, and I appreciate any suggestions. Maybe I'll do another video on this, but for right now, that's my plan. Thanks for listening.